Hi, I'm Amy Shuffelton and I'm teaching ELPS 302, which is Philosophy of Education. This course is an introduction to philosophy of education. We start with some of the classics. We look at Plato and Aristotle and Rousseau and Mary Wollstonecraft, and then we move into some contemporary issues that contemporary philosophers of education talk about. Questions about knowledge, questions about ethics, questions about politics, and especially civic education. We consider issues of diversity, especially the place of women and students of color, faculty of color, teachers of color in the profession, questions of identity, all this from a philosophical perspective. Well, Rome is a great place for this course because, of course, it's part of the ancient world, or was part of the ancient world, and so it makes a fantastic place in which to read some of these classic texts. It's also a place that Europeans traveled to throughout the 17th century, 18th century, and up onto the present, so it was an influence over on lots of the other people who we read their later works, more recent works. On a typical day, we have class on site somewhere, so each reading has been paired with a site in Rome that is connected to it somehow. Sometimes it's not literally because it was set there or anything like that. In fact, I'm not sure anything was set in Rome. But there's some sort of thematic connection. I mean, for one example, one of the early texts we read, our first day, in fact, we read Plato's Meno, which is a short dialogue, and it's really about the relationship between power and justice, and what's right and what's fair versus who's the strongest. And that day we go visit the Colosseum, which is all about might versus might. And we visit the Colosseum just as a visit, and then we'll go find a place on the grass to sit down and talk about the dialogue. We'll have class sitting in a park somewhere for a couple of hours. Then, depending if it's earlier on in the program, like we'll often go and have dinner together someplace so that people feel comfortable finding their way around Rome, finding their way home. Later on in the program, people, know each other and are more comfortable moving around the city, so we might just break at 2 o'clock or so and say, toodaloo, see y'all later, and people go off to do whatever they want to do. As far as the workload goes, there is a reading for every single day of the class. I've set them up so that it shouldn't be overwhelming on any particular day, but you should expect to spend at least a couple of hours every day reading. Honestly, by like 4 or 5 o'clock, after traipsing around Rome ever since 9 in the morning, and it's often quite warm, and we really do walk miles and miles, you'll be plenty tired, and you'll be ready to come back to the Rome Center. There's a really nice library there where you can sit and read. There's room in the dormitories. If the weather's nice, you can sit outside, of course. And then, so you can come back, do some reading. Sometimes there's a little bit of writing, and that's the day. One of my favorite days in this class is when we go out to Ostia Antica, which is the old port. It's where the river used to go to the ocean. The river doesn't go there anymore because it moved. But there's still a ruined city, which got all covered up with dirt and everything, so it was really quite well preserved. And then archaeologists came and unburied it. And we go there one day, and now you can walk all through it. And it's not usually particularly crowded because it's far enough outside the city of Rome that most of the tourists don't go there. But you can find your way into the buildings that used to be people's houses, apartment buildings. You can even get your way into what used to be the sewer. 2,000 years later, it smells just fine. But it is pretty cool walking around and realizing that you were in one of the first places where people were able to build running water systems. My expectations, I think you could boil them down to just 2 or 3. Let's see if I've counted it right. One would definitely be that you do the reading and come to class ready to participate. This is really not a lecture course. We're walking around Rome together and talking about these ideas. And so it just makes a richer class for everybody if everybody comes with the readings prepared, ready to discuss. I think my other expectation is that you come with a sense of adventure. One of the great parts about this course is exploring the city of Rome together. We spend a lot of time just kind of hanging out on buses, on trains, over meals, it's great fun exploring the city with your classmates. I really enjoy spending time with all the students, and so I'm really hoping that everyone will come ready to explore, ready to wander into places we didn't expect to come across, ready to try new foods, ready to go out on their own and, tell us what you came up with. So a sense of adventure. As I hope you can tell from my voice as I'm talking about this, I'm really excited to do this class. It is great fun. I've taught this class in Rome in the past, in 2013, 14, and 15, but I haven't done it in a few years. I'm excited to go back with all of you. I think we'll have a really good time exploring the city, getting to know each other, and of course talking about these fascinating books.